Welcome to another race preview. We've got a Derby week starter at Churchill Downs, box at the Churchill Downs. That's the motivation. Wednesday, they're calling it Wednesday, Winsday. We're calling it Power of Wales Coming Out Party. Maiden claiming 8.5 furlongs on the turf. So
Maybe.
2 turns on the grass. The question mark is, will it be on the grass? Weather.gov says there's going to be a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch and some showers in the morning. ChatGPT expects the turf to play soft. I expect them to not run the race on the grass because they're not going to want to ruin it with their big weekend coming up. So I expect this to come on the dirt. I think whether it's dirt or turf, I think Power of Will's got every, right to jump up here and get it done for the boys. I think he's got a few things working for him. The two main things are this is his first time ever running for a claiming tag, so there's some class relief, aka facing, lesser competition, quote unquote. And the second thing is he's a 4-year-old facing a bunch of 3-year-olds, so he should have the maturation advantage as well. Case of success, he hasn't shown too much in his races. His best races have been when he's been near the lead. I think there is some pace in this race. You see the ease here usually means that they are on the pace. They're early pace setters, but not like a blazing amount of pace. I would like him, whether it's dirt or turf, to sit 4th, 5th, just off of it, make a run, get us going for Derby week, build that bankroll so we got some money to play with into 270 and Oaks Day on Friday. What do you boys think?
Yeah, I think that's right. If it goes to the dirt, I think the 7 drops in value. As far as betting goes, if we stick at 15-1 or even go higher, I think that's gonna be a blessing. But I think if it goes to the dirt, we might backwardsly and probably false confidence bias have a better shot because I'd assume some of these horses are gonna scratch out, but who knows? I guess we'll see. It's Derby week. No one's gonna wanna scratch their horse on Derby week.
What do you think, Nikki?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, if it's on dirt, I think we'll see a halfway decent amount of scratches. There's really not many horses in here that have run on the dirt much at all. Like Brian said, the 7 horse there, he has some pretty decent dirt form. I think if it stays on the turf, I think that 8 horse is pretty interesting. One of the angles that I always look at when handicapping a race is horses dropping from maiden special weight to a maiden claiming race. Right, so like Matt said earlier about Power of Will, how he's in it for a tag this time for the first time ever. So I always feel like that class relief is a big difference between maiden special weight and a maiden claimer. So any horse that is coming out of that, and there's actually a pretty good amount in this race, I think those horses are always pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting race from a gambling perspective. There's a lot of horses. If it does stay on the turf, a lot of horses trying that service for the first time. Got a lot of lightly raced horses coming in from turf weight here. So you really don't really know kind of what to expect from these horses. So it could be one where, an absolute long shot comes in. But I think personally, like the morning line favorite, the 6 here, Abbey Fetty, is gonna be tough to beat. I think horse has decent form on the turf and on the dirt as well. You got iron in the irons. Numbers are very strong. Horse has always been right around it. He's getting that class relief. He went a mile and a 16th around this time last year on the dirt for a 50K claiming tag. Lost by a nose, second, just barely beat. He's definitely going to be one that's going to be keyed up on the front, I think. All of his best races have come on the lead and just seems like he's one that wants to be on it. It's always interesting, though. It's an interesting angle in terms of a horse, trying something for the first time. So he really tried to come from the back from the first time. Yes, it was a 1.5 mile race, so different circumstances, but clearly was trying something different last time. And for some reason, I feel like horses typically can jump up right after they try something new. So this is one that, like, is honestly just a horse that is very solid on all three surfaces. Hasn't won still a maiden, but has earned 80K in its career, which is pretty crazy. Only hit the board 3 times, but second in these big pots at in Kentucky, maiden special weight, definitely don't suck. So it's kind of contradicting myself, saying, "Hey, it might be a long shot," but the favorite's one that I think is super nice. It's one of those races where it's like I almost kind of want to take the favorite and then and then exacta and just pray for a price underneath. But I can't fade our boy. I think it's time for him. It's time for him to come through for the kids.
I think also another thing to mention is that what's nice about it if it comes off the turf is that there's no MTOs entered. There's 3 also eligibles, but there's no horses that are strictly entered for main track only here. So that's always a nice little advantage when a race is taken off the turf.
For sure. I think what's worth noting here is, hey, like this favorite looks pretty good on paper, but if you dig into it, we faced this horse last October at Keeneland, and yes, like we were beaten five lengths by him. But at the same time, like you kind of can tell from the race shape here that, all right, like the leaders kind of stuck around. This horse was just off of it and finished third. This horse was on it and won. There's really only 2 horses that made up any ground that day. So you can kind of maybe make that argument there. Also, I think this was on a good turf course. So in terms of what we plan to do as an ownership group, in terms of if it rains, if it comes off, I think the initial plan that I discussed with the trainer and part owner Nick Essler is that if the race comes off the turf and it's on the dirt, we're going to run them. If the race stays on the turf and is wet, so it's listed as good or has some give, we're going to scratch. Just based upon last race was super disappointing, and we're kind of just chalking it up to the horse wants the ground to, you know, be hard and give him some feedback there and not squish down underneath him, at least on the grass. In terms of fall on the dirt, I mean, he's never tried it. So personally, I just want to see him try the dirt just to kind of see what we have there. Not expecting too much either way. But regardless, I'm going to be jacked up. I think we're going to get a decent price, and I'm going to bet it and see what happens.
Be a great way to start off Derby week.
Wouldn't suck. Any plays, any closing thoughts from you boys?
I would say if it stays on the turf, I do like that 8 horse like I mentioned earlier, so I'd play the 8 and then include those as well. I think we'll run a pretty solid race here. And then if it comes off, then I think the 7, I think he has the best dirt form there. And then, there's a lot of question marks after that, so I'd be careful with it.
What do you think, Big Brownie?
Yeah, I think the 6, the 7, if it goes off, obviously the 7, but even if it stays on, there might be value in the 7. He's ran on the turf 1 time in Saratoga and put up a pretty actually his best speed number according to this, so I don't know why they switched that up for him. So, if we get some value, I might put the 7 up top. If there's no value, I might go to 6. The 8, yeah, not a big fan of the 8, but yeah, so turf 6, dirt 7.
I think it's one if you're playing multi races, you gotta play a lot of horses,
Yeah, definitely.
and just kind of see what happens.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of the lightly raced horses that might put
Yeah,
up a clunker in their first or second race, and then something clicks, they figure it out. Let's see, we got any big jockeys? We got Irad on the 6, Christopher Elliott, who's slowly becoming the story of the Kentucky Derby. If you talk to Monty,
Pratt's on the 1. You know all the big names. Jose's
yeah,
on the
Was
4.
there, yeah.
yeah. So I mean, when you have,
Yeah.
you could put Brian Hernandez on a donkey, and he's still going to be live. So that's something to keep in mind too. And some of these toss-up races, maybe just favor a jockey. Is Jose on any of them? Yeah, he's on the
Jose's
4.
on the 4.
So I don't love the 4, but
I wonder if Tom will draw in. Our pal
Yeah.
becomes our enemy for one
Yeah.
race. He says, I don't know if we'll be that worried if the horse draws in.
I
But yeah,
mean,
I'm excited. I think it's cool to have him up there all week too. It's probably like the first time in his career I want to say that he's really getting a chance to run out of his own backyard. Really, right? He was stable at Churchill stable at Churchill. Maybe he ran out of his own box in the November race, which was
Yeah.
his best number. So I think that's a bit of an advantage too if he actually gets to settle down. I know, like, Shakin' Loose is a horse that you put him on a van, he did not want to run. So we'll see. I mean, I'm just excited. I'm excited to see what happens here. It'll be a ton of fun. We got a group representing us there, so hopefully we're getting everybody in a winner's circle photo, and we're adding power of will to the winner's circle's wall.
I'd put us at 10 for